Hi everybody, time for vintage teardown, and here we have something in the grand scheme of things relatively vintage. It is a cell phone, an old cell phone, Nokia E63. It used to be my wife's cell phone from several years ago, and I'm not going to give this a full comprehensive teardown video because with this thing being a cell phone, of course, there's already going to be lots of other YouTube videos of people tearing this thing down, tearing it down. So I'm just going to basically show things that I find interesting, especially since I've never actually taken apart a full QWERTY keyboard cell phone. I've done many other cell phones with the regular 0 to 9 digit keyboard and all that, but this one is going to be a little bit different for me, so I'll just point out the things that I find interesting. And after taking out the battery and the SIM card, the first thing that I find interesting is the spec on the camera, a whopping 2.0 megapixel. Wow, imagine that. What's also amazing by today's standards is that they actually specify the megapixel resolution on the cell phone's camera. You know, you buy a cell phone, buy a smartphone nowadays, and of course they don't even bother specifying the resolution. You just have to expect that it's going to be at least 10 or 12 megapixels or something like that. And there's the keyboard, just popped right off, and it looks like we've got a nice big electroluminescent panel. I've seen these before in other cell phones, but never quite this big. And we've got a little bit of deception going on. There's the main earpiece speaker hole, and you'd think that they would utilize the whole cross-sectional area of that slot in the plastic sheet, but nope, it's just a tiny little hole right there for the main speaker right there, and then there's this slightly larger hole to the side, probably be roughly right about where that screw is. It would probably be like one of those vent holes on the bottom corner of your big speaker box hooked up to a stereo system. That might be what that hole is for. And a quick look at the LCD. I kind of broke it when the whole thing itself just popped out quite easily, but when I peeled the LCD display, the glass off of the LED backlight, you know, that's when it cracked. But anyway, very typical construction with diffusers here, and then there's the plastic sheet right there, and nice reflective mylar back mirror here, and of course 3 individual LEDs. No big deal. I've seen this before. Okay, one more screw took everything else apart, and some other little pieces that fell out are the coaxial power connector for the charger adapter. Tiny little coaxial barrel connector on that, and then of course there's the antenna. It was actually at the bottom of the phone. Weird RF black magic going on there. And the speakerphone speaker was located right here in this little slot. On the circuit board, of course, we've got the headphone jack. I'll just pull that off right now. The microphone is this tiny little gold box down there. It never ceases to amaze me how small they can make these microphones inside cell phones. Oh yeah, this is the first time I've ever seen a surface mount vibrator motor inside a cell phone before. I've always only ever seen them inside the motor itself will be inside some kind of silicone rubber casing, and then of course there would be a couple of pins on the side of it like this for the power connector that would then attach to some contacts on the circuit board. And other side, you know, just empty space and then shielded stuff. I'm not even going to bother to look at that. But there's the camera. There's the LED for the white LED for the camera flash. Now let me put these things back together. And we've got the hole for the camera, the hole for the white LED flash, and then there's this thing right here. And until now I had always assumed that this was some kind of an ambient light sensor for the sake of the camera, but you can see there's no sensor on the breadboard or on the circuit board right there, and there's no hole for any light to pass. It really is nothing more than a convex lens for the viewer to look at themselves while they're taking a selfie, way back before the word selfie even was as popular as it is today. Finally, let's have a look at this full QWERTY keyboard. Real good strong adhesive on the back metal plate. Peeled that off, and it turns out it's not electroluminescent at all. If I peel off this, I should have known just by looking at it. And if it'll focus here, there we go, then you might be able to make out some tiny little bunch of dimples or holes or wherever one of the buttons is supposed to be. And so of course that's for light to concentrate on those areas and shine through the letters in the top layer of buttons that you push with all the letter shapes on them. And we can peel off this white plastic thing right here, and then that reveals some LEDs hiding underneath of it, basically underneath these black spots right there. That's where these LEDs are hiding. And so they are, of course, side emitting LEDs, and looks like I peeled a couple of them off right there in those two spots. Those LEDs actually stuck to the plastic sheet right here, and then you can see all those little white imperfections that are supposed to diffuse the light wherever a button is supposed to be. So yeah, not electroluminescent at all, just very basic LED technology. And now I can peel off this white layer right here. Alright, there's the money shot. All those little tiny button contacts on the big sheet of flat flex. Very beautiful stuff. And as for these little tiny speakers that came out of the thing, they're pretty much useless. Might get some better use out of the neodymium magnets that were inside the two speakers here. So that's the magnet from the speakerphone speaker, and then the little earpiece speaker had this tiny little magnet here, so maybe that'll come in handy at some point in time. And that's pretty much it. Like I said, I've taken apart lots of cell phones before, normally flip phones with keypads that look like this. Remember those? Yeah, flip phones. Anyway, here's put my reflection here in the Mylar backing of the LCD, and I'm probably not going to keep very much of this at all. Maybe I'll keep this thing just because of how cool it looks, and of course the two neodymium magnets, add that to my magnet collection, and that's it. Maybe I can keep the little vibrator motor, make a bristlebot out of it one of these days or one of these years. We'll see how that goes. But that's pretty much it for this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later. And very quickly, one more thing that I decided to keep from the circuit board. I unsoldered it already, forgot to mention it earlier, and it is actually this tiny little component right here, 4 centimeter diameter. It turns out to be a super cap, super ultra capacitor with many thousands of microfarads, probably 10,000 microfarad. I put it on this Fluke 867B capacitance measurement on this thing, and I got anywhere, it was fluctuating anywhere from 5,000 to 10,000 microfarad. And so I just got it hooked up to right now to a 2-volt power supply. Gonna disconnect that power supply right now, and it'll drain through the 10 megohm resistance inside this thing, and you can see it slowly dropping down. And that's a pretty good rate for a good quality 10,000 microfarad capacitor through a 10 meg ohm resistor. Anyway, just one more interesting piece from one more interesting cell phone that I've taken apart. I've never seen a super cap this small before, and I'll certainly hold on to this. This is another thing that might come in handy one day.